Welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Shoulders. I'm Calvin. Thank you so much for stopping by again today. Filipinas in America versus Filipinas in the Philippines. I just want to discuss this a little bit. A friend of mine sent me an email today, and something came across my mind. But before I do that, I want to send my sincerest condolences to the victims of the families of that ferry accident in Vietnam. Y'all know we're scheduled to go to Vietnam. Ha Long Bay is a real popular tourist place. And I bring that up not only because it's a horrific accident, but because those sorts of accidents happen over here in the Philippines. There's a lot of inter-island travel when you get over here, and you need a ferry to get back and forth to these islands. Say, for instance, if I want to go to Cebu Island, we need a ferry. We need to catch a ferry here, St. Carlos City. So just know that, certainly in this time of the year, during the rainy season where it can just start raining at the drop of a hat. That's what happened over there. The winds pick up. I mean, you just won't know it. So just always be careful with that. Always know the weather of where you're going. But a friend of mine, he messaged me, a good friend of mine, Freddie. He's like, hey, Cal, I'm in Chicago. I'm in the Jollibee. He said, and I feel invisible. It's like, it's a big difference between being in the Philippines, the way, Filipinos treat you, and when you're in America, the way Filipinos treat you. And I said, absolutely, it's a big difference. But let me stop right there and say this. Most of the Filipinos, majority of Filipinos in America arrived sometime after the Spanish-American War. So a lot of the Filipinos that you meet over there, they're descendants of those people. And some even came before that. But they're just descendants of those people, so they're Filipino Americans. They grew up America. Their values are America. Their whole attitude is different. If you don't think I'm playing, I've got a friend over here now. He's only been back in the Philippines maybe a couple of years. Well, he grew up in Australia. And he doesn't know one word of Tagalog, not one word of Bisaya. He's just an American. So, of course, it's different. And then, of course, after World War II, a lot of the soldiers they were marrying Filipinos, bringing them over there. Well, these people grew up American. They just look like Filipinos over here. Some of them come back, some of them don't. This is kind of like a cringy video, but I wanted to talk about it because a lot of my viewers and subscribers, they met their Filipina in America. It's like, it's a difference. It's a big difference. It's a cultural difference. But anyway, I knew this when I brought my Filipino wife to America. I served with Filipinos in the Navy. And they would always invite me over here. I never came, though. But when I brought my Filipino wife to America, one of the very first things I did was we found the Filipino Mass. So we went to the Mass, and man, was it different. I mean, they were just like Americans. They were pulling up, and this is no joke, Maseratis, Mercedes, BMWs, carrying these big fancy bags. They just look like Americans. And the whole attitude changed. The way they treated me changed. It was different. And I always said this, had I went to that Mass first before coming to the Philippines, I probably would have never came here because it wasn't warm and welcoming like Filipinos are here. And not only that, guys, but I don't know why we're in such denial about why some women over here are interested in us, because not all young women get to America and England and Australia and different places through a K-1 or spousal visa. They pull themselves up by the bootstraps as nurses, teachers, caregivers, okay, whatever it is. Let's give credit where credit's due, but a lot of them, they have to go that K-1 spousal visa route. And that's why they're interested in us. If you meet a Filipino in America, more than likely she's going to see you for who you are, an old, tired man. And she wouldn't think in her wildest dreams of dating you. I've never even met a Filipino on a dating site in America. They're just not interested for one reason or the other. The majority, because I was hanging around with a lot of Filipinos when I took my Filipino wife to America. And the majority of them, they're either married or dating a Filipino. I mean, that's just how it is. You know, this dating site explosion, it's been going on for some time, but, you know, that's the reason why they like you so much over here. And they show you so much attention over here. It's because of what you got and what you can do for them. But over there, if you're 70 years old, you're not going to date a 25-year-old Filipino unless a 70-year-old came over here, took her back to America. It's an easy way you can tell whether she grew up in America or whether she grew up here. You just look at her clothes. Look at the way she dresses. Okay? That's the number one giveaway right there. No matter what, they just can't get rid of the cultural things over here. They take it with them. But a Filipino over there, I'll give you another example. Okay, my wife, my Filipino wife, she became best friends. They're still best friends to this day. And we met the woman at that Filipino mass. She's a nurse. I mean, she's probably like a head nurse now. Big money. Well, anyway, she brought 3 daughters over here. 3 or 4 daughters. No, 4. 4 daughters. Okay. One of them turned out to be gay. One of them dates only white guys over there. That's all. One married a Vietnamese. And then the other one is single. But even though they were born here in the Philippines, they've been over there, I would say now for about 15 years or something like that. You wouldn't even think that they were Filipino. If you see the way that they dress and the way that they act, the people they hang around with, you just would never guess. So yeah, it's a big difference. So when guys get on here and they say, yeah, I don't have to make that long trip over there, because a lot of guys, they what they call an expat. See, I need to copyright that. That's mine. If you ever hear anybody say that, they know they got it from me. But an expat is, he doesn't want to come to the Philippines, but he likes Filipino women. He waits for you to bring your woman over there, and then things go wrong, and then he ends up with her. But even he doesn't want a Filipina that was raised in America. He wants one raised over here. Remember KFC, original and crispy? I want the original. And only because I like the culture. I like the little things that they do. If I wanted an American woman, I just dated an American woman, because that's what you're getting over there. So yeah, Freddie, I know it kind of shocks you, but it doesn't shock me. Filipinos in America are totally different than Filipinos over here. They're like 2 different people. They just look alike. That's all it is. But the way that you find out is their clothes and what they're eating, their food, their diet. Because a lot of the Filipinos in America, they've forgotten all about the food over here. The ones that's been there a long, long time are the ones who grew up there. But to be honest, to be fair, man, most of the Filipinos, they came to America somewhere around after the Spanish-American War. And some even before that. And then, of course, after World War II, with, so many soldiers and everybody marrying Filipinos bringing there. So if you meet a woman over there, more than likely she's a descendant of those times. Can you meet a Filipino woman who's, just come over there? Yeah, more than likely she's going to be a nurse, a caregiver, or something like that. Okay, and she's not going to look at you the way the women on the dating site look at you. I always make a distinction, ladies and gentlemen, when I talk about Filipinos over here. It's not all Filipinos, it's the Filipinos on the dating site. It's that select group of women who treat you that way. You get ignored over here, believe it or not. Majority of the women over here do not want a foreigner. They don't want an old foreigner. I mean, I've said this so many times, but I got a lot of new viewers and a lot of new subscribers. They're just not interested. They want somebody their age, somebody they got something in common with. You know, they don't need you to get to where they're going. But the women that you're meeting on the dating site, they do. No matter what they say, there's a reason they're dating foreigners. Why would you date a man who lives 8,000 miles from you, who's totally different from you, who has nothing in common with you? Because they'll say, oh, she's got her own job, she has her own car. Well, there's a reason that she's with you, dude. Okay? So thank y'all so much for stopping by. Thank you, Freddie, because I was going to talk about this anyway. You know, Filipinos in America versus Filipinos in the Philippines. I just like the original Filipinos. And this is one reason a lot of guys don't want to take their wives to America or their girlfriends to America, but you don't have anything to worry about. More than likely, she won't run off. And depending on who she is, she's going to change. To what extent, it just depends on her. But if you bring her over there, it's going to take her years to get the Philippines out of her. Okay? Because my wife, who's still over there now, who's been there since 2014, still eats the same Filipino foods over there if she can find it. Still hangs around with the Filipino friends that she met when I first took her over there. The only difference, she just got a new boyfriend now. He's an expat. That's all. Find in your heart to help somebody. Now, the day goes by and I don't help somebody. Because if I don't know anything else, I know this one thing for sure. We help other people, we help ourselves. Take care. Stay safe, stay out of trouble. I'll see you next time. Don't do anything stupid. You know, give people the benefit of the doubt. Okay? All Filipinos aren't the same. All black people aren't the same. All white people aren't the same. We just look the same. It has a lot to do with your culture. If you meet a Filipino over there, more than likely she grew up over there. She's just an American. That's why they call them Phil-Ams. And she's no more interested in you than a young American woman would be interested in your old dusty ass. That's just the facts. But you don't have to go there to get ignored. You're getting ignored over here by the majority of the women. They're not interested in us. They don't want you. They don't need you to get to where they're going. There's only a select group of women who treat us that way. Those are the ones on the dating site. That's why I tell you, you're going to have more success with Filipinos on the dating site. 98% of the men you see over here with Filipinos, they met them on the dating site. I don't care what they tell you. These 70-year-old men aren't running up on these 20-something-year-old women. Does it happen? Yeah, at the nightclub, in different places like that. But it's the dating site group of women who treat you like a king, who roll out the red carpet for you, who don't care what you look like, who don't care what you smell like, who don't care what kind of education you got and all of that. Okay, but the rest of them, they will ignore you, man, like you're not even there, because that's what he said. He said, I feel like I'm a window and they're looking straight through me.